And we are live. What's going on, authors and change makers? Yes, y'all. This is another episode of Art for Change Podcast, and I am your host, Mr. Sapiosexual. Today is Take Two Tuesday, and we got a Porsche roundtable for today. And my co-host in the building.
You already know it's your boy Be You, because that's all you gotta do is be you. So let's get it. Let's have a fun show tonight.
Yes, y'all. Hey, man, you got some folks to introduce, man.
Yeah, so first we got a fellow returner. I love her poetry. A little on the dark side, but I love it because it's different. We got Katie Truen out here. A lot of Chicago guests out here. Chicago
Yes.
and one Chicago slash Carolina, North Carolina, Greensboro, and we got a Bull City, Durham out there with the poet. You know, y'all know I guess those poet. But yeah, let's start with Katie Trill. Yeah, she's a repeat guest for us. Great person. Different kind of poetry that we're different from, but we love it. We love all poetry over here. So we got Katie Troon. We also got Isaiah Ivor Adverb Williams. Hey, and his last name is Williams. And you know who last name Williams? My last name is Williams. And he's Chicago's Southside native, selfless brethren, devoted father, community activist, and he's a visionary of art, utilizing his talent for words and to uplift his village. So he's a community person. He's all about the community and everything like that. So, and especially with the youth in the city, he's all about the youth, and he's just trying to bring positivity to all backyards around him. Also, we got Dr. Faith. We had to correct that, Dr. Faith, because her name was Faith at first, but it's Dr. Faith. Don't leave that out, sister. We had Dr. Faith, and she's a poet and an educator who works in lives at intersection of memory, longing, womanhood, becoming, and she's the author of She Dragon, a poetry collection that explores power, vulnerability, sensuality, and rebirth. Through her poetry, Dr. Faith, let's correct that, Dr. Faith invites listeners to embrace both their softness and their fire to honor the becoming. And we have the poet, and you know it. What's up, Dr. Faith? Correct that, Dr. Faith. What's up? And we got the poet, and you know it. And y'all know the poet, and he don't play. And back to my host, Mr.
Hey, man, we got a full panel in the house. We got Katie Shroom, Dr. Faith, I am Adverb, and Poet East Wizard in the building. How is everyone doing today?
Excellent.
Love it. I love it.
All is
All
well.
right. Hummingbird said, hi, poets. Lady Alba in the
Not,
building.
gotta love Lady Alva.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotta love Eddie. It was a good day today. It felt like a Tuesday, like a slower, faster Monday actually, which is a Tuesday. So, but it was a good day today for me. Um, Everything else, it's just flowing. I'm just trying to keep the week flowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Katie?
Work. No sleep.
Yes.
Which I know I share with probably everyone on this stream right now.
Yes, we definitely know about that work, no sleep. I am Adverb, brother. How you been, man? How's your day, Bridget?
All is well. This is my second interview this week, so I'm really excited to be here and be a part of this. So thank you guys for the invitation.
Yes, man. Thank you for coming, man. I appreciate all of in collective time. Absolutely. Because time is money. So I appreciate all y'all. Dr. Fave. How you
Doctor.
been?
She like, yeah.
Yeah. Look, we actually got some, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna give her a tab bit, y'all. We asked her backstage, you want to call Dr. Faith or Miss Faith? She said, well, I really like to be called Dr. Faith. So yes, Dr. Faith, ladies and gentlemen. How was your day, love? I'm sorry.
It was very busy. So in my other life, I'm a librarian slash professor. And so I spent the day chatting with other scholars about how to decenter whiteness in different spaces. So yeah, it was inspiring but exhausting.
I
Absolutely,
got a
definitely,
question.
definitely.
Doctor. Central whiteness? Is that what you said?
Decenter whiteness.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. What is that? What's your definition of that? What does that mean?
We basically trying to make, well, not make, but we're trying to encourage other scholars like us to accept other ways of knowing outside of the predominantly white scholarly, because it's only 0.25% of people in my field. And so we're trying to break down those
There it is.
colonizational
Yeah.
barriers. So,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We were
Understood.
so proud when Faith got her doctorate. We had a huge party. I still have a clip of that on Instagram. So proud of
That's
you.
fine. That's
That's
fine.
dope.
Yes, yes. Poet East Wizard, how was your day, brother, man?
Um, just long, man. Just long indeed. Y'all know what I do. I already know. So as
Mhm.
soon as she said that, I'm very familiar with things of that nature. So,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
as I said, I just got out of my last meeting not too long ago. So, full day.
yes, yes. For the people who do not know, Poet East Wizard is a community organizer. You know what I'm saying? He does a lot of different things. He's just on the ground work as far as doing something to benefit his community. Absolutely. You know what I mean? He talked with legislators. He tried to get bills passed in different type of organizations and programs for the youth in the community. So that's dope.
And he be on the news. Don't
Chill,
leave that out.
family. Chill, family. Chill.
He said, "Hey, he
For
be on
good
the
things,
news."
for good things, and for good things.
All right, but today we're gonna do a little different for Art for Change listeners, man. We got a treat for you. I have some wonderful poets in the building, and they're gonna give me some Chicago flavor because they're gonna give me some poetry. Yes, and luckily enough, you get to hear Mr. Sexual join in with the game. So, what we will do 4 rounds of poems, ladies and gentlemen. Once we do one round of poem, once everybody go around and everybody has done their piece, then we will discuss everybody's piece that they have done, and then we would do that 4 times. Have a few questions for y'all to get to know the panel, and then we will close out. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right. Now, here comes the tricky part. Who wants to be the first poet to go
I
first?
was just about to say that.
I'll always say I'll go first. I don't care. Okay. I'll always
No,
volunteer.
no, I gotta say something. You want to read
Let's
that
go,
comment, B?
Big Katie.
What does it say? Katie, say what, bitch? Well, I think I am a bitch, and I kind of like own that, and I'm proud of that. If you look at the headers on all of my social media, it'll say unapologetic poet, artist, storyteller, bitch, music journalist, kind of this list because like it keeps growing. And I just kind of put bitch in there. And also, if ever I receive any negative, not negative, or just kind of, odd comments, let's say, on social media, I'm not doing a Ronnie Radke, but I will pull those comments and make like a funny kind of post and put it in stories because you can't hurt me. You can't offend me. You can't insult me at this point in my life, And so I kind of own the fact that like you treat me well, I'm going to always treat you well. You do me wrong, you better put on your running shoes, right? So I own that, and it's on my business cards. It's on all my sites. I don't think you could probably read my card, but it's got bitch on here because I just want to put that front and center, just like, just here I am. This is me. So, unapologetic.
Apologetic. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All right. It's four of us. I am going to write a number down. And I guess as close as us get to this number, that'll be the order that we go. All right. Everybody pick a number 1 through 15.
4.
5.
8.
The number was 11. I'm the host, so I'm going 11. We'll go 8, 5, and 4. So it will go Dr. Faith. It will go I am Adverb, and then it will go Katie. I'm good. And then I will go last. You could just start whenever you're ready. Whenever you finish your piece, you can say poem or whatever, give the next poet an indication of, that you finish your piece. As soon as you hear him say or her say that they finish, you just jump right in with your piece, go next. And when the last one want to go, then we discuss everything. Appreciate you, Dante. We see you.
Okay, I should have picked a smaller number, huh? All right. I guess I'm leading the way, so I'm just picking whatever poem is on top of my pile right now. So this poem is called "The Black Story." All right. So he asked me where I was from. I exited center stage. I was ready for my next show. I collected deep breaths while thinking I would like to be from a place where my Black skin doesn't get me grouped by white groupies. I told him I come from my grandmother's perception of freedom and I choke on it every day. Broken Black backbone, broke Black, blackened, and broken boned experiences. I come from basketball on black tarred parking lots of the projects, listening to the bounce, smack, and pass of self-hate and fear. I come from the darkened black circles on standard achievement tests used to determine my already predetermined destiny. I come from watching my mother's laughter over black card tables, sharing cigarettes and needles. I come from the confusion of the 1970s injected into the black bodies of the 80s with disease and undocumented segregation. I come from Blacks only, whites only, back of the bus only, barely minimum wage only, raise my child but never be equal to her only, scraps from the kitchen only. Cinderella was my true ancestor. She was Black, I come from her buttermilk and dingy flower dresses and blackened knees. I come from the generational curses cast over black altars and white candles under spoken tongues. I come from the southern mother's run from the slave master's son. She was too dark, they told her. Couldn't be part of the family, they told her. I told him, I think I got some Buffalo Indian in my blood. I come from ancient spirits of blacks, browns, burgundies, tans, and fuchsias. I come from tribal juking down black dirt roads spread across holy, holy, holy lands. I come from white faces on large boats offering freedom by death only, freedom by death only, freedom by death only. He asked me where I come from. My backstory is a Black story and it's not rated PG. Next poet.
I had to snap to that. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was 16 when I first heard a poem cry. At the time, I lived in South Bend, Indiana, specifically the Laurel Court Projects. It was a place where the air often felt heavy before a downpour. I remember standing behind our house, watching the horizon bruise into a dark purple sky. A storm was coming, the kind that didn't just bring water, but a certain kind of reckoning. In the field behind the projects, children were scattered like rats and roaches, oblivious to the change in the wind. Before the first drop could hit the ground, I found myself running. I wasn't just running from the rain, I was running for them. I gathered these kids, ushering them back to their porches and to their parents, feeling the weight of the sky pressing down on us. I didn't know then my life would become a series of attempts to gather children before the storm could take them. But as I reached for the last child, the storm suddenly went silent. The purple sky didn't break into rain, it dissolved into the white ceiling of my bedroom. As I sat up, I realized I had fallen asleep, but the experience felt strangely real. Was it a dream or something I couldn't quite understand? In that dream, I realized that what I heard in the field, that sound that made me rain, that sound that made me run, wasn't thunder after all. It was a cry, a poem weeping for a generation of children still standing in the path of the storm. I was 16 and God had just given me my first poem. I just didn't have the words to write it down yet. I heard a poem cry, blank page, crying for a hand to write, pen searching for the right words, blank page thirsting for a narrative, one with no plot twist or fear. Blank page bound to the sheets of a notebook, pen liberated from the confines of lines and margins, blank page aching for a backbone, one with no binder or spiral spine to keep it standing, blank page, prisoner behind ruled lines, pen finally snapped clean from the spiral wire, blank page begging for security, one with no staples or metal rings to handcuff the paper. Blank page held like a ransom note, pen no longer tethered to the rows of lines or the iron fences of margins. Blank page starving for clothing, one with no pockets or folders to hold content captive. The pen is the fugitive. The page is the prison, a white wall cell with poems go to jail. Put a poet in the pen to write an escape. Words are the witness, writing the alibi, never meant to make the poem cry. The pen has something to say. The pen has nothing to say, but the page is crying to be written. Pen, longing for freedom, one with no dots or periods to stop the hand. Pen, escape from punctuation, holding a page captive. Pen, longing for a manuscript, one with no jagged dashes or sentences that run until free. Pen, having taken liberty. Page, never meant to see the sun outside hardcover skin. Pen, yearning for the ink's blood, one without the sting of paper cuts or the blade of a slash mark pen, seizing sovereignty. Page, tethered to the rigid sheets of music or the sale of 16 bars. Pen, praying for a word, one with no letters or envelopes for captivity. Put a poet in the pen to write an escape. If words are witness, write an alibi, never meant to make a poem cry. The verdict. The pen is the accused, the page is the gavel's blow. A white wall chamber with poems, protests for justice, the witness, the guard who heard paper scuffling in the dark, the spine of the book cracks open, playing the fool while lines slip through the bars. The one who heard paper muffled, sobbing in the shadows, chapter bars unbolted to offer a plea of mercy, with the suspect trembling in the hand's grip. The heavy gate unlatches to grant a final request. A writer, trapped behind a barricade of text, begs for a sentence, one free from the paragraph police or the cold, bloodshot eyes of a grammar check. A writer, unchained from the fear of rude lines, finally unites the pulse of the pen with the skin of the page. Put a poet in the pen, write an escape. Words are the witness, write an alibi, never meant to make a poem cry.
Yes, yes.
I loved the sentence where it was a while back, but like God gave me the words, but I didn't know how to write that phrase that you did.
Yes. He said,
God,
"God
give me
gave
the
him
words,
a
but I
poem."
did know how to write the poem. That
Yeah.
part, that was sick. That was sick.
I like how he said the pen put the poet in jail. Oh, that was fire. Yeah, I like that line too, Pop. Yeah. Some heat going on so far. Dr. Faith and I am Adverb. All right, Katie Shrew.
Okay. Mr. actually sent a few prompts, and see if I can see what the first one was to give people an idea. Basically, revolutionary kind of poetry. We'll just kind of make that as the general topic. So that's what I went with this one, which is called Kneel to the King Who Does Nothing. Kneel to the king who does nothing. Dry leaves scatter across the sidewalk, making a scratching sound. Between creases and promises, this season, they're a dull orange, like an unripened peach. It muffles the sound that all we do these days watch the shade of orange dying in slow motion, having made the mistake of planting trees in ground where they would never thrive, where roots could not tether too tightly. Shallow surface, dropping hard, my fingers clawing deeply, grabbing clumps of dirt that slip through my numb fingertips. Tiny roots thread, twist around my digits. They never took root. They never wanted to. But that is what happens when you place a peach on the windowsill, spoiled before it's rotten. Echoes of a truly meaningless life, an insignificant taste of sweetness, immediately regretted by its pungent bitterness. Told this world would flourish, rejuvenate. But no, everything does die in the end, but slow, drawn-out process, forced to be watched, not just every piece of writing near it. Some things should never be planted. Some stories should never be told. Sometimes all the clocks stop. The leaves still blow. Maybe their whispers will be heard as roars. This peach is rotten and cannot be eaten. Swollen knees, broken, beaten. In this case, my body refuses to bend to a tree that provides nothing, yet demands everything. This reaction can be poisonous, for it could do nothing to us. Stay kneeling by losing the game of withering life that we never knew we were actually playing.
Hey. Yes, y'all. All right, I guess it's my turn. I love that piece. She said the piece was on she said that's what happened when it spoiled before it rotted. Goodness gracious.
Well, I had Neil. Well, it's like I definitely on my channels try to stay really kind of as politically neutral as I can because I have a varied audience, right? And so I will talk about free speech, freedom of the press, things like that, but there will be messages. So like kneel to the king who does nothing, an orange, a rotten peach on the windowsill. My body will not kneel to a tree that provides nothing but demands everything. So you get the subtleties.
I was picking up what you put down. Yes,
I'm picking up what you put in down. Yes.
Yes, y'all. All right. I will go next. Still with the revolutionary theme, and I just dropped a piece like this. Educated and African, a true threat to their status quo. My ancestors were either stolen from their mother's land or descendants of indigenous peoples. Either way, with all this melanin, it's easy to suggest that the blacker of this berry has depth within these roots, heritage of resistance, civil wars attended, running through underground railroads faster than they can shoot, trying to tie us in a noose, in chains and shackles, so many of us broke loose. We desire freedom, grandbabies of royalty. We are the true heirs to the kingdom, created in the image of God, so no wonder I'm feeling so godly. I walk through the valleys of the shadow of death, and I should fear no evil because I know that he walks beside me. I have the strength of the slaves inside me. I'm the poet of the revolution, a leader for the revolutionary. My words paint pictures to a visionary. My vernacular is spectacular. You would think I studied the dictionary. Educated and African, a true threat to their status quo. Ancestors were either stolen from the mother's land or descendants from indigenous peoples. Either way, with all this Malayan, it's easy to suggest that the blacker this berry has depth within these roots. That's my piece.
Snaps.
It's the depth within the roots for me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything roots, kind of trees, tethered to the earth like that. I get a vibe for that, I definitely
Absolutely. Definitely. All right. First poet. What inspired your piece, Dr. Faith?
So honestly, I work in predominantly white spaces, if I'm keeping it real. And so often I find that I'm often put on like display, or like I'm like the token Black girl in the room. And so
I swear to God. Oh, damn. I'm sorry. That's why I got the white cap on.
Write that doctor on your shirt, though, woman. Doctor, no matter what they say.
Yeah, I mean, like, so Black librarians only make up like 7% of librarians, right? And so like, and again, I'm only 0.25% of PhD holders that are Black, right? And so it's like I'm always in predominantly white spaces, and I'm always looked at as like the spectacle of like, oh, look at her, she's Black and she knows things, like it's. And so I wrote this piece because I wanted to like make it seem like I was on a show, like I was on a show, but I really wanted to tell people like, yo, here's the truth about my story. Like y'all don't want to hear these dark parts, but this is the Black story. This is the Black story. This is where I come from. This is my heritage. This is what I'm really coming from. And so like, I actually had one of my former, trying to find a way to say this without like putting nobody on blast, but I had somebody I worked with that was in charge of me, who was like, oh, well, I know somebody that's Black and they got a PhD and they don't make people call them doctor. I don't see what a big deal it is for you to be called doctor. And I remember being very offended by this because this person was of our paler,
Our hue.
Girl, I have only a bachelor's, so you crush me.
Right. And so it was just interesting to me that they had the audacity to say something like that to me. And I was like, well, if my mother was alive, my grandmother raised me, and she was convinced that I would never get a PhD because she was born in 1930s Alabama as a biracial woman. And in her mind, she was like, she told me at like 11 or 12, she's like, you're never going to get a PhD because the white people are never going to let you have that. And so I remember feeling defiant in that moment and telling her, watch me. I bet you I will. And so my PhD, I often joke with my colleagues that my PhD is actually a revenge PhD. But yeah, it's that poem is basically about me always feeling like I'm on spectacle in predominantly white spaces and the truth of my story, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, because you said you can't. I mean, it was basically you coming from a dark place and bring to the light, which is the white. I kind of put that up. Yeah.
Every piece you do, Faith, where you kind of pull from your past, and I do that a lot too. Kind of pull from that trauma and then turn it into something bigger, which is what you did. Like I said, I could never make it through that much school. So I can't, everything for the rest of my life, you are doctor, period. So, I'm buying you a shirt that says doctor. Screw them.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I am adverb. Yours hit me. All y'all's hit me. Yours hit me differently because you started with a blank page, and then like you brought the pen to the page, and the pen wrote your truth. How did you come up with this poem? What inspired that?
Yeah, thank you. Really, it was just I was in between like a childhood memory of shielding others from a metaphoric storm and the adult responsibility of shielding truth within poems. So that's kind of what inspired it, and just realizing that the way I was introduced to poetry, the reason I do write is based off a dream that eventually led into me writing and being able to perform in places I never thought I'd be. So that's kind of where the poem and the story kind of stems from.
What caught me with it was, like I said, you said that, you know, the words came to me, but I didn't know how to write the poem, kind of analogy. And that's one thing I've talked about with a lot of poets is like, you just, some part of you, and in my case, I kind of describe it like a door in my head just kind of opens and just words spill out. And it's like, I have no control. And I think that's any artist, just, it has to come out. And those words spill out on the page, and we don't always know what it's going to say until we're done. And we have almost no control sometimes over what comes out, because it's from in this dark space that we keep closed most of the time. And you know, that is what I see, kind of like in your case, you know, this door opened and showed you can be a poet, you can do this, you can write, but you needed to learn to be a poet, right? You needed to learn how to write. You needed to learn to own that. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was a lot of metaphors in that poem that really, like, I wrote them all
deep.
down.
It was, hey,
Dr. Faith is stealing your stuff.
I know, right? I'm not trying to. Well, so first off, fun fact: Isaiah actually used to be one of my poetry students. So I've known Isaiah since he was, what were you, 16 or 17?
It still looks 16.
Thank you.
He said 16 in his poem, actually.
Yeah.
So did I meet you when you were 16? I think it was 16. You were still in high school before.
Dream occurred around 16. I got to Chicago about 17. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Isaiah actually used to be one of my poetry students. We went, he was working for an organization called Ray of Hope, and I was a poetry instructor. And so he used to spit my poetry and practices and stuff like that. And so and then I started mentoring him for a couple of years, and then we've been best friends ever since. And so watching his growth as a poet has literally like been mind blowing, because I've gotten to see him evolve from like the 17-year-old kid who had been like, where am I going? What am I doing? What's happening? To like this very like sure of himself man who could step into a space and just change it, right? And so it's been amazing to watch, and a deep honor for me, because we've known each other for over 16 years now. And so it's been crazy. But one of the metaphors I do want to point out is the one that says sentences that run until free. The double meaning in that, like, come on now, y'all didn't catch that.
That was fire. That's fire. Yeah.
But yeah, I was writing them down because it was helping me process. But yeah, no, it was so many.
That double entendre is crazy.
Nah, yeah. Faith is stealing lines. You're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it. Adverb, you're gonna hear her stealing your lines.
I'm sure Isaiah done borrowed a few from me. Flat out, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm stealing that."
Totally, yeah. I'll hear someone say something like, "I'm stealing that from you," by the way, and they're like, "What?"
All poetry is stolen anyway, technically.
Oh yeah, I mean words. Well, I make up words, so I don't know if those count, but.
So Katie, Katie, I got a question for you with your poem. You said spoiled before it's rotten. So and I'm gonna take it a different way. I'm gonna ask you a question. In your writing process, do you write or like do you write and scribble out things or do you write and delete? Like how is the
Uh,
writing process? What feels more natural to you with your writing process?
Typically, I just like what I'll do is, throughout life, kind of like you say, I'll just, jot a quote down or something, use as a prompt later. And when I get the moment where I want to write, I just start texting myself. And I go one line through, I get to the last line, I reread the piece, I write the last line, I'm done. I don't edit except for grammatical, and that's it. Now I've started trying to do a lot more improv. So I'll just go in the room and just start, I'll record 5 different things just in a row. No idea what I'm going to say. But really, with me, I never know what the piece is about until it's done, which is weird because I'll give it to someone to read and they'll be like, oh, that clearly means this. And I'll read it back and be like, oh, you're right. Or I'll read it after and I'll be like, that's what it means. But it's kind of like that door in my head just spits out what it's going to spit out of me. And usually I text, honestly, just text them to myself and then they end up
Yeah,
everywhere.
because I understand what you're saying because you called it Kneel to the King, but I picked up something different from that. Like especially when you said spoiled before rotten, I'm like,
Well, I did
But
kneel
yeah,
to the king who does nothing. And then I had to say, this season is a dull orange because that's a nod to
yeah.
someone who's orange. And then the
Yeah.
peach on the windowsill spoiled before it's rotten. So we're in the second round of this
Yeah. The second
world.
term.
So it's spoiled before it's rotten. So before we even start, we're spoiled. And at the end, it's just like my body refuses to kneel to a tree that demands everything and provides nothing. And it doesn't matter what that thing is in life. In our case, we all know what we're talking about in this scenario, but it's many things. Adverb. Dr. Faith, you both spoke about. Faith, you spoke about challenges. You will never do this. You were told. I know what that does to you because I remember meeting you. Okay, so when someone tells you no, you're going to do it 10 times. I know you. So
Damn right.
I think sometimes when we're told, give me, give me, give me, give me, and then nothing is in return, we're going to just strive to hit the ceiling. And I don't feel like I'm necessarily like proving it to people. I'm just proving it to, part of myself. And I don't know. I don't ever want to feel like there's something I didn't achieve that I could have, or that I strive to achieve. So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have an
because
off switch.
yeah, it's just always on.
It's always on. I never
Okay,
ever have an off switch.
I get it. All right, Mister, explain where you were when you were in your space, right in that.
Um, to be all the way honest, I really read the prompt and instantly was like, okay, revolutionary resilience. Boom. Um, I got those two ideas in my head, and then I began to write. I mean, it's so much coming from my background, that I can say, um, relating to revolutionary, relating to resilience and resistance, especially coming from my youth. So that was really kind of effortless. What I mean? And my favorite line in the poem was like running running through these underground railroads faster than they can shoot. You know what I mean? They're trying to tie us in their noose. And it just made me think. You know what I mean? Like I just when I write, I try to make it to where, you know, it kind of paints a picture so you can kind of see certain things. And I guess like when I wrote that line, I can kind of see like, you know, everybody trying to run from the master, you know what I mean, sneaking out through the Underground Railroad. So like I said, running through these Underground Railroads faster than they can shoot. So yeah.
All right. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm tired of running.
Huh? See, tired of
I'm tired of running.
Hey, we ain't running no more. Now it's we fighting back now.
And we
You know what
as
I'm saying?
in humanity, not color. We as in
Oh yeah,
humanity.
absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What they say, the revolutionary will be televised? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Second round, we'll do a little different. We'll go the opposite direction. So I go first, then Katie, then Adverb, then Dr.
Hey, the doctor said I got a little break.
Like, she was like, yes.
I got surgery to do.
Yeah. I figured I'd switch it up. You know what I mean?
Poet,
Just,
it's still here.
Yeah, man. Matter of fact, poet, you awfully quiet, man. What you think about the poems? Poet East with it, being a poet yourself.
No, it's good shit. I'm just taking it all in. I'm cool.
My man said he's just taking it all in.
Okay.
Just pulling up my next piece. I'm still gonna. This one here is more like a spoken word piece. I wrote the one that I gave y'all first. I really wrote that today. But this one here is something that I did previously have in my archives. So, this one here is called. I actually have a name for this poem. It's called "Brought the Wood In." I don't have a name for the one I just gave you. I literally just wrote it. But this poem here is called "I Brought the Wood In." We're blind to the fact of reality, leaving most blindsided by the fence with no tackle, chains, slaves in our minds with no shackles, scared to leave that box looking diagonal, confusing it with a triangle. If they can't hit you on a direct line, then they'll try angles, trigonometry. They'll try to curve bullets around the corner like wanted. They mad at how I flaunt it. They better kill me if they see me on the microphone, because I'm going to speak the truth with vengeance. I'm unchained like Quentin Tarantino's Django. I've been told you that I was a lyrical assassin. Quit to let that thing go. Have you think I was Latin the way I tango? The way I beat on my chest? Woo! Is equal to the silverbacks raised in the Congo. My heartbeat is like African drums in the jungle. I'm the light. God in the man of the art. God in the man of the dark. The archangel, slicing demons with my halo. I got a real relationship with God. That's my daddy. So he move whenever I say so. And I'm his favorite one. So for me, he stay on go. And after giving those devils a good whooping, yeah, I can look back at the soul, at the man within looking back at me with no words like good looking. See, I'm a chef at Food for Thought, 24 hours and 7 days a week. Ask me what I'm doing. Yes, sir, I'm still cooking. And my service will have you contemplating your consciousness like, I know I shouldn't. That's why I lead by example. I'm my daddy's son. No longer do I move in directions that I know that he wouldn't. Some throw fuel on the fire, but nah, baby, I brought the wood in. That's that piece.
I'm a chef. That's Food for Thought is crazy. I ain't gonna lie, but hey.
Well, chef, you can use in a lot of different ways as metaphors, because you're taking these insignificant, just base ingredients and you're creating something. So whatever it is that you're creating, that's makes you a chef, I guess.
We kind of match him a little bit, Katie. A little bit. We match him a little bit.
Am I up? Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's on you, Katie.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am. It's on you, Miss Katie. Sorry.
Okay. No, I just needed to know. Give me a second. Okay. Perfume of ghosts. The air is dense, smoky, opaque, with breaks of loneliness, needing to be filled with promises made and broken. A heart unwilling to accept time has passed, carrying an old picture for decades in your wallet, sometimes wondering if your love was made for her and not me. Broken things cannot be used. Broken bones don't heal the same. Hearts never heal at all. You love me more when I am gone. Memories of an orange, rough and ugly, yet inside sweet perfection. You pick at the flesh until all the poisonous juice runs out, lingering like my ghost. The old photograph of me is unburdened by this life, like washing off the scent of my old perfume, dragging memories across the desert of my mind, filled with old bones, lips sewn shut with twine, but not wanting to fear mornings, nor write sad poems about you. You miss your old wallet, aging leather that never became me, a place card in history, a moment loving, fearlessly hoping that when you seek her and find me, you will confuse me with your love for her.
I love it. I love it.
That just made me want to listen to Paramore. That's all.
I don't, is that a compliment? I'm not sure.
Ashe. That summer, I went to Texas to visit my aunt. It was a culture shock that rearranged my internal compass. I moved from the projects where we lived check to check in a cycle of just getting by to a community where houses were built from the ground up by families with salaries, careers, and stability. I saw a different version of life and I didn't want to leave it. But when my mother refused to let me stay, I chose rebellion. If I couldn't have the suburban dream in Texas, I would take the raw reality of Chicago. I moved in with my grandfather, Nathaniel Williams, on the South Side. I registered at South Shore High School with a transcript that was a mess. I didn't even have enough credits to be a sophomore. Poems of a poet. We we are a people surrounded by dirt like flowers, like seeds pushing past the impossible. Is it possible for grass to rise to others' expectations when grass is always being cut short? But mama, my poetries are poetry stretched at an arm's reach, open to teach. Listen, when my sentences run on, hear the feet of Harriet crying for freedom. I hear Rosa's spirit, never let your voice take a back seat, speak. Mama, remember on nights your son was thirsty for water? I drunk from the cup of mama's struggled tears. I've eaten from the belly of empty cans when mama's hands couldn't hand fulfillment to an empty stomach. Broken down in my intestines, I digested, never being held under the umbrella of my father's arms when I needed protection from the rain. But whether it was bad weather or the hurricane in my forecast, I took a different spin in my direction. I found direction. And God, not he nailed to a cross, but he nailed to a microphone with pencils that pen that write into the palms of a poet. If thou will prepare a table before me, my hands will forever serve as a dinner plate to the listening ear of every boy and girl, every woman and child with an appetite to survive the storm clouds of tomorrow, the gray skies of today. But somehow, some way in this city of villains, I found a rescue planet among the stars. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's my notepad, my cape, my vocab. I never entered a draft, but I wrote my first draft on the basketball court. But you judge, like in court. So it's be like Mike or be like Langston Hughes. Let the games begin. You could pass me a pen, I'm going in for the dunk. Triple double, what assists? Between pages, I dribble with God's gift and a pencil. I let my tongue be my strongest muscle. On paper, I flex. I give your hands a workout until you see fit, and you forever playing my theme song. They can cut the lights off, but please leave the mic on. poems of a poet.
Goddamn. That's all I gotta say. I ain't gonna say nothing else. Just goddamn. Hey,
That was so good.
I gotta talk to you.
Dirt like flowers. It was
That was
beautiful. Kind of the dinner plate analogy of us open to everyone to come to the table and speak. That was beautiful. I love that.
Be like Mike or be like Langston Hughes. Man, I felt that. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Hey, you
Dr.
judge
Faye.
like in court. You judge like in court. Like, come on now. Like,
Well, Dr. Fate's got us all, so she's the judge, I guess.
oh shit. Damn, Doctor.
Yeah,
Hey,
listen,
I
we'll
plead the
take it
So
fifth.
we gotta lend to Dr. Faith. I mean,
Not
she's
at all.
I've done a lot of corporate training, but she's the educator. She's the teacher. I'm the one that and I'm gonna tell this. Can I tell a quick story?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm at a really small open mic in the basement of a bookstore, like a dusty basement. And this woman gets up and reads a piece. And I'm like, damn. And I'm the kind of person that just like keeps starting projects. Like, yeah, I'll say yes to anything. It sounds like a good idea. And I'm like, I want a band, but like I'm not a musician, right? So I need like a group. So I get this idea in my head to start what became the Poetica Trio. So 3 strong female spoken word poets from different backgrounds that all have similar historical trauma, but different, and are very like narrative poets, spoken word poets. And so I saw Faith once, and like I think you might have been the first after Chalet, I believe. Well, because girl, I know her 10 years. But I think you were the first one I asked if you wanted to join me on that crazy adventure. And we created these hour-long shows, like thematic shows. The last one we did was called Fate of the Gods, and it was Greek mythology themed. We had stage, the poems all had a Greek mythology tone to it. And each did about 20 minutes of performance. And from the girl I saw step up in that dusty basement, reading that first poem, to the woman on the stage, I think it's still on my Instagram. I have that quote of you, of all the Greek tragedies, this was the worst. That piece, you just blossomed into this powerhouse of just intensity in the way you do your spoken word, and when you're presenting. And I'm not a teacher. I hope that I'm old enough to be a guide in some sense, but I hope I'm a little. But what we did, I watched you blossom, and it was beautiful. And I know you're across the country now, but your Poetica still lives, and I thank you for that, and I thank you for whatever part I played in kind of creating that journey for us, because it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I wanna second that because Katie, you kind of reminded me because I don't know, another story, real quick though. I had actually left the poetry scene for a while. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in poetry. And so I don't know what I did that for because
Those jobs were advertised all the time.
I know, right? But no, like being in the academic like setting kind of like pushed the performer out of me because they were always like, we got to read this poem on the page, not on the stage. And if you can only perform it, then you're just a performer, not a poet. And so like it was always like these back and forths with my professors. I'm like, this is a performance piece. They're like, no, we got to read this as it is on the page. And so it kind of deflated the performance poet in me. And so I had stepped away from poetry for a long time. But at that event when I met Katie, that was actually my first time being on the stage in like 7 years almost. But then when she invited me to come perform, I was like, oh, this is what I remember. This is the feeling I used to get. And so thank you for like reigniting that spirit in me because I had walked away from it for a while. And Poetry was always my first love. Isaiah will tell you, Adverb will tell you, poetry was always my first love.
And it's just good to hear that resurrection. I think I struggle that too. I come from a line of poets with faith. It was more so about the writing, and then when I met other poets, it was more so about the performing, the bars, and then you kind of get into like this hip hop scene. So it's tough because at the point I'm at now, being older, having life responsibilities, and needing a little bit more than my art to feed myself and my family. I have poems, but they're not all performance ready. I am very creative from the background that we come from, so I've introduced ways to read poems, or especially when someone books you or pays you, you can that may be a little different in how you want to interact with the audience. But we do get away. We have to realize that whether it's hip hop, whether it's poetry, whether it's journalism, the writing is the fundamental part of it. Can you actually write, or are you willing to learn different ways and different versions of writing? So the writing is the important part, but not only the writing, reading too. When we think about literary spaces, most of us only learn to read or write because of school. And it has to come out of those four walls. It really should start at home, school. We used to have literary opportunities and opportunities to have comprehension in churches, and we kind of lose that a little bit over time. So, it's good to remember that because people lost their lives just trying to learn how to read. It becomes a barrier in life when you don't know how to read something. You become embarrassed because you can't say a certain word, ask a question. So I thank you for sharing that, Faith, because it just reminds me. And I've been honestly saying, fuck it, I'm gonna read this poem because it's really good. Um, in at least the last couple months, and I've been in a space where it's like I think she said that Katie said that doors opening and it's just flooding, and every day I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. I have a new performance, and now I got this new poem, and I can't think about the old poem because this one is so good. So just thank you for sharing that. It's okay to read, and it's wonderful if you know how.
It's hard to memorize. I mean, most of the shows I've done, a lot of them I've read because it's a lot to memorize. It's a lot to get. Like we were doing 20-minute sets, and it's a lot to memorize. So I'm working on that, and I'm working on the improv so I can get better at just doing it cold.
You better than me because I've given up on memorization. I'm like, okay, look, I got 2 kids, a full-time job.
Oh, I have like my whole first chapter of my last book memorized, like the whole thing, but it's like older stuff. Like it's everything you saw me perform.
Yeah, for me, I think if I can have a paper in my hand but still give the energy to the crowd that the crowd needs, then I'm okay. I'm okay with holding a piece of paper in my hand if I can bring the
That's
energy.
how we started too, Faith. With we had a poem called "Who's Responsible," and what they did creatively was they would throw the paper as they kind of read it. So that's the way we learn. So I'm honestly, I've been utilizing. I'll send you a picture of me utilizing that just this week. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Well, everyone's style is different, and so the Poetica trio, it was Dr. Faith, me, and then Chalet Lorraine. And I met Chalet, gosh, like 12, 15 years ago now. And the day I met her, I found out she was a poet. We were working at this company. She was in finance. I was in HR. Found out she's a poet. I'm a poet. We're like, oh, we're like the only poets in this office, right? So we're like, oh, And like within like days, I'm like, we're going to do something together someday. And she had done a piece and put it on YouTube and had like 30,000 views, and it was overwhelming. She's like, I write, but we'll see. And I'm like, we're doing something someday. So when I decided in my, infinite wisdom to create something else, the Poetica trio, I'm like, Chalet, you're in. And she's like, okay. And she turned out to be, Faith and I will switch off like the headline spot and the middle spot. But Chalet always is the opener because she has this kind of just like exuberant joy and energy and just like like innocent humor in what she does. So she's like a great opener and she loves that. But she grew so much. But it took me like 12, 15 years for me looking at her going, we're going to do something. And she's like, no. And I'm like, y'all trust me. Trust me. I don't lie. And we did. And she did fantastic.
We did.
Remember when she Faith, last show, oh my God, the video, everybody screamed. There was a poem that she did and she said, am I dead or am I dying?
And she passed
something.
out.
And then she just dropped to the floor like she passed out. And everyone's first reaction was like, like she really passed out, but it was performative. And then it was like, girl, you got this. Like, I knew you had this in you 15 years ago. I knew it was there. I knew it was buried in there. And that's, why I feel like, every poet's different. Adverb, you talked about, kind of some challenges people have in how far they can get with their education in terms of like, written language. And that's true. That there's a lot of people that I talk to that, have a tough time reading poetry because honestly, it's a tough read a lot of the time. But I think what spoken word does is however you perform it, everybody's different. Whether you're doing it, kind of lyrical or narrative or however you're doing your spoken word, you're emotive, and you're expressive. And even if there's one word they don't understand, they're still understanding. The audio is just different. And I think that opens up poetry to so many people that thought it was out of their reach, linguistically, because of the wonderful United States public school education system in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And speaking of narrative, I'm going to go ahead and read my poem, which is kind of in a narrative form.
Let's get it.
It's called Street Lover, and I actually wrote this when I was at Columbia. So, I told him that I loved him more than the streets ever could or ever would, and even still, I'd find him right back there, wrapped up in her corners, caressing her curbs, kissing her concrete. And when he was aware that he'd been caught again, he'd smile like silk and say, baby, you know how it is. I did. That's why I pleaded with him constantly. But when daylight seeped into our shadowed corners, I'd roll over to find only the imprint of his body in the white sheets, hoping to never find his body inside the imprint of the white on the streets. But I knew she was cruel. All the streets ever cared about was herself. And I knew when day came, she'd be waiting for him. And he'd go back in obedience since she'd already convinced him that he could never leave her without a consequence. And I tried to talk some sense into him, but instead he made me the enemy. He'd run more often and come back less frequently, making sure to only take certain parts of me along for the ride. He left me bare-boned, a skeletal monument of his recycled torments. Dearly departed, I gather myself here for you today. I'd watch myself fade into his backgrounds, watch myself become blank matter in the latter of his days. There was nothing I could do. I was nothing but a desolated spirit trying to grab onto his flesh, but I couldn't get a steady grip. And when I thought I did, somehow he slipped right back to her. A man is going to do what a man is going to do, right? And now, as I stand over him in this hearse, I recall and rehearse the arguments and the time I spent watching him get stuck in between her cracks, watching him fall on top of her, watching her lick his bullet wounds and whispering, thank you, in his ear, as he gives his life to her. I died by the hands of him while he died by the hands of the streets. So dearly departed, I gather myself here for you today.
Love it.
Yes. All right.
I got a question for you, mister.
What's up, brother?
Damn, girl.
You said you wrote a poem today, and you presented that poem today, actually, and you had other poems already ready. Like you got hundreds of poems. What made you want to write a poem today? Like,
Well, when me and Katie talked, the discussion was to write new material, and we talked about this like 2-3 weeks ago. So like I'm a terrible procrastinator, and I was supposed to have been writing these poems. I was supposed to have 4 new poems, freshly written poems, but my butt dragged it out, and so today I was like, oh no, I have this poetry roundtable and I have no poems.
You can't force it though. You can't force it. Like you know, sometimes if I have like no ideas or something and I want to write, I'll like, you know, ask a friend or whatever, give me some prompts, or I'll ask like, you know, Facebook, somebody to give me some prompts, and they'll give me like, you know, red, orange table, green tree, whatever, and I'll write something. And it's always just a little not me, you know. It's me, but it's always just a little off.
Yes.
So I think you need to write when you need to write, when it's when it is meant to spill out of you. Like Adverb said, like that door opens, it floods out. You might get 10 pieces and the door shuts. And it might stay closed for a week or 2. You know, I write almost every day, but you know, then I'll go a week or 2 with writing nothing, you know. And I don't think you should force it.
Right.
Because then it's not real. It's not
it's
anything
not
real.
as authentic. Absolutely.
If I could add something to that too, what I learned is, because I've had moments where that door was shut and I was like, I need this to crank out. You don't have to just write a particular genre, right? Or a particular thing, right? Sometimes we think if I'm a musician, I need to write music or something like that. If I'm a poet, I need to write a poem. It's so many things that you can write. You know, you could write lists, you could write your chores. I think just that practice of filling the pen to page, I know a lot of times for most of us is typing, but just sometimes seeing it will inspire too. So I just want to remind people that too, because I have to remind that for myself to just be able to do exactly that, right? Whatever comes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
to piggyback off that, go ahead, my bad.
yeah.
To
No, you're
piggyback
good.
off
You're
that,
good.
I don't. You good, bro? To piggyback, I never know what I'm going to write about. It's just like Katie said earlier. Like I never know what I'm going to write about. I just get the inkling or the encouragement to want to write, and so once I do, I just let the pen go. I just, you know, and then once, like she said, once the piece is over, I read it. And I'm like, look at
Like,
that,
oh damn,
you know?
that's what. Oh my
Exactly.
God, that's that story. Oh, I didn't even know, or something you
Yeah.
never thought you'd tell, or part of this story and part of that story that you never knew could, you know,
Yes.
coexist.
I got the opposite problem. I always know what I intend to write. I have no idea how the fuck I'm gonna say it.
Same.
That's fire
Same.
though. That's fire. That's fire. Because I don't never know what I'm want to talk about. It's just funny how when the piece is finished, it's like, huh.
Mhm.
I like that. You know, I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I've had, you know, people give me, you know, prompts that are. I had a friend give me. I was asking for prompts like a lot over a period of time because I needed kind of some motivation, and you know, people were giving me, you know, pictures and words and things. And a friend sent me a 10-minute all instrumental classical music piece. It was like dark, heavy, intense classical, you know, piece. And I'm like, what the hell? Right. You know? And I ended up writing this poem about this woman in like a dilapidated old house, this older woman who had fallen in love with a man when she was younger. And now the house was like falling apart, you know, bed sheets on the furniture. She was like going from room to room, waiting for kind of death to find her. And then he kind of shows up, who she thinks is death, but it's the man, as the house kind of crumbles around them, you know, and, you know, it kind of turned into nothing. I mean, there was nothing in the song. It was just music, right? So, but it became this weird journey, and I have no idea how I did that. I have no idea where that came from, but it did. So I think you just have to take what you get, and adverb, like, I know you know what you want to say, but like make a list, and then just like whatever you're feeling that day, check if it's on your list, and then just start going. Just start going.
Yeah.
Because I do so many prompts. I save so many prompts for myself on my phone for things I want to write about. I have enough to write about for the next 20 years.
Hey, I got a question for you, Katie. Because like when I listen to your poetry, it's like to me, it's colorful. Some is dark, some is bright. So like, do you like how's your process of writing? Like, do you sit down in the dark sometimes and like think, oh, this got to get down, or like, are your eyes closed, or like,
I mean, to be perfectly honest, it'll be like, the TV's on in the background, but I have my headphones on. I'm listening to like, metalcore, honestly, or something like just really intense. Like, should be overpowering maybe, but my mind runs, I think kind of on like these 4 tracks. And if I get the vibe to write, I open up my phone, go to my messages, start typing. And I have no idea really what I'm saying. And I get to the end, before the last line, I go back, reread it and go, okay, write that last line because that last line's got a hit for me. Title it, grammatical, corrections, which I don't know. I make up words and shit, so I don't always follow rules. And then it's done. I never edit because everything I found, I go back and edit, I ruin. So I can be in the most intense environment, the loudest environment, music, public, anywhere, and just give me my phone. Doesn't matter. If it's going to pour out of me, it's going to pour out of me. Doesn't matter where it is, So it's not, and I think, in my case, like the darker stuff is just, I think I think, I didn't have a lot of choice in who I was going to be, I think, because, my father was an artist. My mother was an English professor. I grew up in a, just overdone, opulent, like just over decorated Victorian house, and, my life kind of centered around antiques and older things and the old books in our library. And so I kind of grew up with kind of the dark sense around me, but, also had, like I kind of indicated to Faith, like we, at least in the Poetica, we were all strong women. We all had all these traumas. They're all different, but they were all like these massive traumas that we grew and built ourselves out of. I didn't get to a doctorate, but we all built ourselves out of. And I have one poem that talks about, each memory that I have, each event that I've been through is a Polaroid in a box. So I pull them out. Each photograph of mine is a story whispering to be spoken. So there were stories that I couldn't write and tell until those people were gone. There's a lot of family members that I couldn't write things about until they were gone because I couldn't, but now they're my stories. Now they belong to me. So I can tell them. So it's not that they come from necessarily like a darker place, but I think just that, the way I was raised and my interests kind of grew me into this person, and that's going to have that dark thread to it. But the way I interpret my trauma is kind of through the imagery of kind of those darker settings,
Makes sense to me, Mister. Mister, you're on mute.
My bad. Thank y'all for letting me know I was on mute. Yeah, we're gonna do one more round, and Poet East Witham is going to join us in this next round. Adverb will start us off, then it would be Katie, then it would be me. No, Doctor went last, so then it would be Dr. Faith, myself, and then Poet East Wizard would go last.
What about me? I got one.
All right,
I'm
you
just playing. I'm
going?
just playing. I'm just no, I'm just
Come on,
playing.
man.
Maybe next time.
Come on,
Hey,
man.
next
Said
time.
maybe
Hey,
next time.
Katie,
Maybe
next
next time.
time you get on, I got one. I got one.
Hey, we're gonna hold you to that.
Hey, just remind me. You gotta remind me.
We know that's cap, but anyway, yeah, let's start the third round. Go on,
Adverb, let's
Adverb.
get it, bruh.
A black man's headphones are his crown. Wherever he laid his microphone was his throne. The stage is kingdom where he reigns supreme. His majesty exudes talent and confidence. His MC skillfully wielding pencils like a sword, crafting art that stands like a fortress wall. Reached only by the precision of a poet's blade, his crown has a speaker on the side of his head and camera for eyes, while his smile and mouth are filled with a keyboard. A black man's art is his badge of honor. Wherever he creates is his castle, his notebook, a sacred place where rap is a prayer set to instruments. God bless niggas weaving scriptures into poems, infusing spirituality into their words as if the divine could speak through their rhymes. Envision, create, present, and refine. His stanzas stand guard with metaphors, serving as a shield and punchlines as a spear, much like a knight's armor. If lyrics could kill, his adjective are scripted assassins, his nouns are nimble ninjas, his nouns are mighty titans. His freestyle is a fearless conqueror with the rebellious crowd. His speakers are a fortress of funk, these disc jockeys scratch and claw to warn of war. A pen and pad placed in his hand as he prepares for battle. His guide, a chariot placed on rims, he traveled through city streets and narrow alleys till something did obstruct his path in the form of a fat ass. What he saw created in his likeness, though wandering in a daydream, Her Majesty walks before him. A vision of divine beauty in tight jeans. And as he stood in her presence, he heard a heavenly sound, which caused him to kick off his J's. For this was holy ground, a black man whose voice was once muted, now adjusts his crown. A star is born. 3 wise men approach, jazz, blues, and soul, saying, "Pardon me, sir, we bring gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh." Their journey ended on a stage where a young poet lay, with no room to call our own. As the men mounted bikes, he glimpsed the divine hand that crafted the stars and guided us to sacred land. The whole world in a black man's hands. He can clench his fists or open his palms to set others free. He traded shackles for mic cords. But when strangled by cable, it's hard to breathe. Gold and silver adorn his wrists like handcuffs. He was helped into a cop car and sped off in a high-speed chase. Police lights and sirens guide him home. And somehow, he navigated through traffic and terrain without being pulled over. Near a stage, he witnessed a cipher. He, being poet, invited all to circle. He lifted the enchanted mic and cheered all hail. The MC, he's the manifestation of a black man's dream. I used to believe the dream God gave me about saving the children in the field before the storm was meant for others. But as I sat with these words, I realized the truth. The young man God was sending me to save was myself. I was that hungry, fatherless, ambitious boy in the field. I was the one who needed to be gathered before the rain came. What I thought was just poetry was actually a poem cry. A soul articulating its own survival. The storm is still coming. But now I know how to turn the rain into ink.
Hey, that comes from that empty page. Hey, that comes from that empty page right there, brother.
The storm is coming, but I know how to turn my rain into ink. Come on, man. Stop it, boy. Well, I hear you. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Shout out in the house tonight, man. I love everybody. Katie, let's go.
Always Chicago. Okay. All right. So this is a newer one. Yeah. Naivete was punched in the face with shattered promises and deceptions. It broke my jaw and never healed the same. Shit, I muted myself. When did I mute myself? Let me start over. I muted myself, I think. Did I mute myself?
It's okay. It's okay. You can start over.
All right, I'm going to start over because I don't know when I muted myself because something on my keyboard is hitting mute. So I'm sorry. All right, so intentional. Naivete was punched in the face with shattered promises and deceptions. It broke my jaw and it never healed the same. My accented words were silenced with hands. Breathy whispers escaped my pursed lips, heard by no one. So my voice curled into a corner and just observed. Existence is an orchestrated art of lies, crafted as an intricate illusion, curated and painted like a prop, treated like the bastard of a queen, born on a black-floored stage. She stitched a bent crown to my head, yet it always toppled off at the most inappropriate times. Yet still, never denied a want, a wish, a gem, as long as everywhere stepped was a stage. Love is the work of a magician. Like my twisted, broken, and glued words, love is a rare gemstone, wanton, coveted, yet never captured or chained. On metal wrist cuffs binding me always to a legacy of lies, many scattered away decades ago, unrecalled, even more decayed and crumbled. Tatters that cannot be sewn. Instead, using safety pins and kill pins to mend and prove my life was deserved, never having actually been intentional, repetitively repeating to my voice and all of your ghosts, I was meant to be intentional.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, so that's kind of it's just indicative of kind of, my growing up. Faith kind of indicated she told, like, this is who you are, this is where you're going to get to, that's it, this is the wall, and I spent most of my growing up alone. My parents were just absent. They were self-employed. It's a kind of an opposite story where, they gave me whatever I wanted except their presence ever. And at 18, go, you're on your own. Grab that king size sheet, grab that garbage bag full of clothes, put everything else in storage, go to your friend Dina's house, knock on the door. Sleep in your den. Start over with zero. And, I just had that no presence of any kind of guidance. So I had to learn it myself. Like Faith, I see all the books behind you. I had to sit in the library of my house as a kid, read books. I never understood them, but I'm trying to read them as a kid. I'm trying to get through them. I'm trying to learn something. So I feel like everyone, and I challenge everyone. I say everyone's an artist, and I can prove it to you in less than a minute. But I also think everyone can be a poet. It's just what kind. They're not going to sound like me. I can't teach you to sound like me. Dr. Faith can't teach you to sound like her. I am Adverb cannot teach you to sound like him. You have to sound like you. And I think with, people like us being around other poets, You know, I'm adverb. You know, you have, you know, it's events that you do. Dr. Faith, you know, do your teaching. You know, I am constantly starting some ridiculous project that turns into a band or something. And, you know, inadvertently teaching the next generation of people to stand up and start speaking and expressing themselves. Everyone's a poet. They just might not know their style. They might not know how to express their words, but everybody has stories inside of them. And unfortunately, for a lot of us, they're dark. So I think it's important that those of us that actually get up and say those stories, it's important because I might be standing up and telling a really personal story about, you know, just kind of related to myself as a woman. There's a lot of things that happen to women. I could be telling a very personal story about being a woman, you know, that 1,000 other women will never speak of in public. So I am saying that story for them. You know,
Katie, are you reading my mind? Because my next poem was going to be Gods Who Bleed about women.
I know you, girl.
Let's go, Dr. Faith.
Okay, all right. So Gods Who Bleed. What if the stars aren't really stars at all, but holes punched in a box that we were placed in? They give us just enough air to breathe, but deny our bodies the sky and leave out that the gods have gods too. That their rivers of time endlessly leak into crimson seas, red because the Athenas, Heras, and Persephones in us are being bled. Our bodies are murder scenes, our skin holding us down, the blood collecting in our lungs and our hearts, just as Hippocrates predicted. Nature's ruby rivers running deep in pursuit, we are misread and misused. We can't let go of the hurt because it holds us too tightly, like a hug from a person that you don't even want touching you. They ask us if we are okay, as if earthquakes aren't building inside of us. We do not need maps to our own bodies. The same sun that shines in deserts shines in the Arctics, rising in the east and setting in the west. You will not take our light or forcibly plant seeds in our fertile grounds. Yes, we were meant to create life, but some of us embrace the anarchy of underworlds, allowing our wisdom to guide us through the chaos. Tell me that we cannot lead battles. Tell me that we cannot be hunters, but we are the narrators of life and death, creators of kings, and stacked foundations of empires. Tell me, how do even we as goddesses not become bitter and sweet like the hen, like the hard, like the deep, rigid center of a peach that wanted to be an apricot all along? Of all the Greek tragedies, this is the worst one.
A piece that wants to be an African is crazy.
That's the piece. We did our show at this theater in the city called, I think that was at Otherworld Theater. And it was Greek mythology. So the stage had like Greek columns and we, you know, did that. And I think that was that your closing poem for your set?
It was.
Yeah.
It
was like a drop
commentary on the abortion laws that were recently passed.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, I love the whole kind of analogy of, you know, you will not, you know, plant, you know, your seeds in our fertile grounds and forcibly, like, you know, and then, I mean, that whole kind of section and analogy, I absolutely adore. And I've told you this 100 times. I love that piece. And I always refer to it by the last line because I can't remember the title. I always say of all the Greek tragedies, this was the worst. But I mean, that one is phenomenal. I love that piece. And like in that case, like, you know, you're speaking for the 1,000 women that won't ever say. I mean, I don't put my poetry in journals and magazines, things like that. The only time I have one magazine I'm an editor for, but besides that, the only time I put my poetry in anyone else's book but my own is if it's like a charity anthology. So I was in a charity anthology called Synonyms for Living a couple of years ago. And it was basically, and we're being YouTube friendly, right? So it's basically poems all about essay, right? So people that had that in their life. And so I contributed a piece to it, and then I read it, online and posted it and everything. And I don't know. And I started the video to explain it with, I don't know a woman, that hasn't experienced that. So I think we all tell stories for everyone else.
Yeah, and I think one of my so when I wrote that piece, I was mad, right? And so one of my favorite lines is about how we don't need maps to our own bodies. And I think a lot of women feel that way because we're often being told, how we should be, what we should look like, what we should be wearing, how we should be acting. And we're always, then that's why like the first line talks about maybe we're being put in this box with holes because they want us to
The
conform.
stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because they want us to conform to what their idea of appropriate or whatever you want to call it is. And I've always been the type of woman to push against that grain, which is why I'm obsessed with like people like you, Katie, or like Frida Kahlo was my favorite because she was the model of an untraditional woman. She wore pants when it was common to wear skirts. She had lovers. She often, dated the women that her husband was dating at the same time. They didn't live in the same house with each other. They lived across the bridge from each other. Like she did a lot of very unconventional things. And she didn't care. She smoked cigars with the guys, and everything they told her that she wasn't supposed to be doing, she purposely pushed against the grain. And so I've always been obsessed with women in history that always pushed against the grain. And so that's why, and that's kind of like where the gods who bleed come from, because I do believe women are gods. I do believe, I mean, not to say that men aren't, but I believe we're a special type of deity, that that bleed, right? And so we have to, I think we need to respect women in their own power. Look, that's coming from a woman. But I'm sure the men here could possibly agree. Hopefully y'all on the same page, but
I'm 50-50.
Yeah, not just as, I guess, just not just as like a vessel,
yeah,
but as like a creator.
Yeah.
A creator.
But we are creators in different ways, though. I think that a lot of people reduce us to just being a creator of life. But we can create other things. Like that's why I talked about like how we create kings, but that doesn't necessarily mean we gave birth to them, but we do create them, right? And so I think that like our youth being reduced to our youth being reduced to just giving birth to babies is demeaning almost to me personally. But yeah.
Yes.
Mister, let's get it.
All right, brother.
We got a poet too, right?
Yes, sir. We got me and the poet before we get up out of here. All right. This poem right here is called Teach. I'm gonna jump into it like this right here. The inability to take accountability only shows their incapability of elevating mentally, stunting their maturity, making conversations with them seem useless. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink without appearing ruthless. Force feeding knowledge to someone cup that is full of tomfoolery might cause a food fight. Be prepared to duck. I've had conversation with trees, but never gotten much luck. You may lead by example from a distance if necessary when dealing with such. To enable their behavior only makes you a crutch, causing a stall in their mental transmission, like when you're stalling a clutch, not allowing them to go through the gears of life. You can only do so much without extending a helping hand twice. See, that third time make you a habitual offender of being intrusive, which only might make them become reclusive. See, it's a thin line between love and hate, real and fake, pain and ache. who is for you and who ain't. You can lie to oneself about others' true colors, but in that regard, be prepared to paint. Because when one shows the disability to take accountability, it only shows their incapability of graduating mentally, stunting their maturity. And conversation with them often seem useless, but yet I say still do this. Teach. That's my piece.
Hey, I got a question
Hey.
before. Hey, but
No,
hold on
hold
before.
on. Before your question, Tone Flow got a pimp swag to it. I just had to say,
Hey,
it be
hey,
like
that's
he,
what I'm about to say that.
yo.
I'm like, yo, why I never heard this? And like, I'm the co-host. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I
I'm
noticed
the
you've been,
co-host.
well, Mister, I noticed you've been doing more spoken word, and I've been seeing it in your stories and your posts and stuff, you know, more recently, like in the last year. I think that's fantastic.
Yes, man.
Yeah, that car analogy went hard.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
With the
Thank
clutch, room.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Installing their mental transmission, like when you're installing the clutch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What we at with
absolutely.
Poet?
Where we at with the poet East Wizard, man?
All right, let me close this out. I got this little joint. It go like this. I am he. I am the one. I am not the only. I am one of a sacred many, yet a humble few. I am who I say that I am. I am who I think that I am. I am not who you think I am. I am so much more than you ever thought of me, than you ever thought me capable of, than you ever gave me credit for. I am who I say that I am. So let me take the time to say it with intention. I am everything that I have learned, the good and the bad. I am not everything that I have been taught. I am what I choose to be. I am not what you have chosen for me. I am that in which I feel like. But let me come back to that in a sec. I am not my past. I am simply a present to the future. I am not the sum of my worst mistakes. I am the exponential growth of my best decisions. Now let me backtrack. First and foremost, I am love, and indeed I am loved. From eternity to infinity, that will never change. I am trusted by those who have been crossed. I am respected by those who have been dissed. I am looked up to by those who have been stepped on. I am counted on by those who have been counted out. I am here because of who I am. I am heard because of who I am. I am blessed because of who I am. I am who I say that I am. Oh, yes, yes, I am. I am not who you say that I am. You might say anything. I am he. I am the one. I am not the only one, but just one. I am who I was born to become as of this very moment. I am who I know that I am. I am not the person that you once knew. I am more than that. I am more than the names you were calling me. I am more than the potential that you saw in me. I am more than the silence I may keep. I am not a wolf hiding amongst sheep, the awoken amongst the sleep. I am not the one to fucking play with. I am fragile. I am rare. I am not made in China. I am my mother's son. I was made the finest. I was not made to conform. Therefore, I was made defiant. I am not finished yet. I am still taking steps. I am who I say that I am. I am still. Thank you.
Hold the fuck up.
Damn, poet. I'm glad you went
Hold
last
the
with that
fuck up.
one. I love that piece, bro. Everybody piece I love, but I really love that piece, especially because it was like inspirational. You know what I mean? That's like a word of affirmation poem. I love that piece. Now you
Appreciate
gotta
you,
tell,
brother. Appreciate you,
gotta
brother.
tell us. Now you gotta tell us. Everybody else then gave a little bit about where their pieces come from. What inspired that, brother?
So as y'all know, I mean, I'm a writer, but I'm a rap. I'm a musical artist. You feel me? I started writing when I was 9. I started rapping when I was 11. So I was writing poetry first, and it was when I got this little drum set that my parents got me for Christmas. I had made beats, and then I like just read one of my poems to a beat that I had made, and like that's how I started rapping. And so um, I just have this thing about like understanding like I'm a writer, like writing is writing, but for me, it's very intentional that like poetry is separate from like my rap and like my music. And so this is a saying that to say that this is a poem that got written during one of those time periods where I wasn't making music, you feel me? But I was intentionally like filling up a notebook, you know what I'm saying, with poems, just thoughts, you know what I'm saying, feelings, emotions. And um yeah, kind of like folks have already expressed, you know what I'm saying, tonight in their own words, you know, just like I felt the urge, you know what I'm saying? I put the pen to the page, you know, I'm still traditional, you feel me? Even to this day, like I'm pen to paper, you know what I'm saying? Like I fill a notebook up and I mean, I feel like for the most part it's kind of self-explanatory. Like but again, I'm just like I'm saying, just saying like everyone else had already shared. Like I didn't know, like I just started writing. And when I got to the end, it was just like, oh, yeah, I guess it's just it just is what it is. Yeah.
I got a question before I use my last question for everybody in the audience. Poet, you said I am not the person that you used to know, and like, and that hits me hard because like there's people I haven't spoken to in months. They don't know who I am now because I'm still a growing person, and
Totally.
that what happened?
Oh, I just said totally. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
think
not.
as we keep growing,
Yeah.
unfortunately in life, you lose people because people want you to fit the role they want you in. You
Hmm.
grow out of it, and I never expected that. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, in the Buddhist culture, they often say that we're never the same person twice.
there you go.
I like
There
that.
you go.
That's
I
beautiful.
like that. I
Before you
mean,
close out, Mister.
that's it.
Yeah, before you close out, Mister, I got a question for all of us. I'm gonna start my dog. Hey, I'm gonna start with you, Ed. Where you are mentally, because and I'm gonna explain why. Because people think, because y'all are poets, people think poets are like so like going through distress and like they're depressed and everything. But to me, I just see they're telling their story. So I wanna know where everybody is mentally. And I want to start with you, Ed.
Um, I'm in a good space mentally. Uh, a creative space, honestly. You know, over the last weekend, we've been able to have a few businesses that I'm developing from either my kitchen or living room right now, and I'm a walking business myself. And this weekend, we've been uh, booked ever since Thursday. So I'm in a pretty good space creatively. My children were able to be a part of an interview that I did yesterday, and we had a pretty good conversation with that. So I'm in a pretty good space as far as family, my own well-being, and just looking forward to the future and looking forward to continuing opportunities like this to continue to develop community and network.
Yes. Before
Yes,
I move on
yes.
to the next question, I'll give my answer. Mentally, I'm stable. That's important, actually. So I'm in a stable state, but you always want growth.
Yes.
You always want growth. You always want to reach for growth. You want to set goals. Because I used to be in a state of mind where I set a goal and then I accomplish that goal and then that's no more goals. Like I'm done. But I had to teach myself that like you got to keep growing. You got to keep growing. So yeah, mentally, I'm getting there. I'm not saying I'm fucking 50%, but maybe like 80% mentally. But because you got to leave room for error, you got to leave room for growth and everything like that, and you got to be honest with yourself too. You got to be you. You see the name, so you got to be honest. You got to keep it real. But yeah, so yeah, mentally, and then you got to like got to keep setting goals, keep growing, keep growing. That's how we all grow. Like this is a different type of platform right here, and consistency. Y'all know our favorite word on this podcast, consistency, and consistency means growth. But there's such thing as bad consistency too. So remember that too.
Yes. Absolutely. Appreciate you, BU.
I
Yes,
I
know
want
that.
everybody to answer that.
Go ahead, Dr. Faye.
Oh, I was about to say, I am in a place of returning. I like returning because I don't Katie mentioned it earlier, but like this is what happened in my life. I literally like got a PhD, quit my job of 21 years, moved to a whole new state, started a whole nother career, all
Yes.
within like 6 months.
Nice.
And so like I had realized I had really lost myself in the hustle of like corporate world because even though I was a librarian, I was an administrative librarian, so I was running with like the big dogs, right? And so like I was sitting in mayor meetings and playing the political game and putting on a smiley face and saying all the right words for the right people, and it drove me nuts. It literally, a part of me died. Like, and so I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get up out of here. And so I literally was like, all right, here's my 30-day notice. Peace. This ain't for me. But in that, what I've been finding since I've been here in North Carolina, because a lot of people who've been talking to me since I moved, they're like, oh my God, you just seem so much lighter and better. And it seems like your mental health is doing better. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm in a place of returning to who I was before I was told who I was supposed to be. And a big part of that is me returning to like my childhood. It's so funny because I have a friend who's a therapist who's also a poet, and she's been telling her clients to restructure their childhood structure. Like, how when you went to school, you had a schedule. You went to school, you ate breakfast, you went outside and played, you had your lunch, you did some work time, you did your chores. And she was saying that a lot of people feel dysregulated right now, but all we really got to do is go back to when we was kids, re-implement those structures that we was pushing so hard against, and we will find ourselves again. And that's exactly what happened. I literally wrote out like a little school schedule for myself. And I've been doing all the things I loved when I was a kid, watching movies I loved when I was a kid, doing things I loved when I was a kid. And then I've been writing, and as a result, I've actually been writing more poetry. Recently wrote a poem called Body Art that talks about how my story is written all over my body and how I see it as a mural of evidence of the things that I've been through. And so, yeah, I'm in a place of returning. Yeah.
I love that for you, Queen. I love that.
I'm gonna answer the question by saying that in similar, but I was in a space where feeling like I wasn't about to drop any more music, and I was just about to go into different focuses. And then one of my literally a homeboy that I met over like 14 years ago. You feel me? Who I put him on to the local music scene in a way. You feel me? Here locally. Um, he asked me to be a feature artist on his showcase, and then like right before, and it's ironic because the show had got pushed back, and it was just this past Sunday, and so right, like all within the same week, like I got beats like from all of my top producers, you feel me, like sent to my email or like directly to my phone. And it was like I kind of just took all of that as a sign that it was like thought that you was about to not release no more music or not make no more music, you feel me, but you know what I'm saying. And so it was just like ironic because after, like I said, y'all know how you know what I'm saying, what I do for work, and it was like I had a organizing training that I was at like all day Saturday, had a work meeting Sunday from like 10 to 12, then back to the organizing meeting, you feel me? Like I've been at meetings like since not 10 o'clock this morning, you feel me? And it's like, but I feel like it's 10:55 and I'm like super energized. Like I legitimately like might, like I said, might go listen to some Paramore and then like write some shit like after this. Like I'm in a good space right now.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Katie, what kind of headspace you in, love?
I think I think I don't have an off switch with faith, which Faith knows for sure. So I'm constantly moving towards something, and you know, like most artists, like 99% of any kind of artist, lump them all together. A lot of us need day jobs to pay the bills, right? And then to fund our art. So I feel the stress that Dr. Faith talks about. You know, I feel that pressure. I'm pushing. Someone else, I don't know, was it B? Somebody said, you know, writing is writing. You know, whatever you're writing, doesn't matter what you're writing. A list, you're writing a journal, you're writing a note, doesn't matter. Write anything. So I do music journalism too, right? So just I write anything, and I'm looking for that kind of sweet spot where, you know, maybe I'm the 1% that can quit the corporate, you know, life and you know, live off, you know, my writing. I mean, that's the dream, right? You know, so I'll keep throwing everything out into the universe, and you know, maybe 200 years from now, someone will dig it up and think I wasn't half bad.
Hey, that longevity.
Legacy.
Longevity.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Legacy.
Everything we write, everything we publish, everything we put now on the internet, right? I mean, that's out there forever, right? So, you know, my manager often talks about like Emily Dickinson, you know, during her life, you know, thought her poetry was garbage, right? Just felt like a failure. You know, after her death, obviously became one of the biggest poets that we've ever known. So,
yeah, sometimes
hopefully, you know, someone at some point will dig me up in an archaeological expedition and dig us all up, right? Dig us all up and see what we left behind.
Yeah, I still have journals from when I was like 8 years old. Like I still have them. And I always tell myself that one day when I'm dead and gone, somebody's gonna find all of the journals from 8 to 80 and be like, oh my goodness, this woman's life is so fascinating.
Yes, and they will. And they will. You know what I mean? I believe it. I'm a type of person, I'm a positive thinker. So I'm only thinking optimistically. I don't never think, you know, some people be like, oh, what about this? I'm not that type of person. I'm only thinking that it's going to go right, and it's going to go right because of this instead of it's going to go wrong because of that. So I'm also a person that believes speaking things into existence and speaking as though it already is. So we all will be and accomplish all the goals that we want to accomplish. Katie, you will be paid off of your writing, and it will come quicker than you believe. And when it comes, it's going to be like, wow.
Well,
you know?
I'm trying every method, right? As soon as I figure it out, I'll tell y'all, because it's hard. It's hard, you know. And you know, Faith, you know, in the field you're in, you can attest to. It's like, people don't buy a lot of print books anymore. It's shifting to kind of this kind of content, which actually, in one sense, is good for us to do spoken word because it's kind of that rapid content, audio, video content they can get. So it's just a way to make it, financially.
Thank you, John. I think I was,
into something, into like what books were, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, right? Everybody went to the bookstore, bought a stack of books, right? And that just doesn't exist anymore. So we have to find other ways to get the words out and hopefully, get ourselves to a point where we can at least, continue to fund our art.
Yeah, finding that most poets that are making any type of money nowadays are mostly doing like tours, like reading tours and live performances. And they've really, like, the poets that have blown up either on Instagram or TikTok. And so I think it's just a matter of consistency because the person I'm thinking about right now.
I know who you're thinking of. I'm going to say it. Geronimo.
In a poem almost every single
Geronimo
week.
Speaks. Yeah.
And every single week for 3 years he was posting poetry, and then all of a sudden he just went viral. And so it takes time. Like I think the patience part is what we get impatient with. But it takes time, and it takes what did y'all say? Consistency. That's the word, right?
Hey, that's my favorite word, consistency.
Yeah, and so I think it's a quote I actually recently heard. They said, "Persistence will get you somewhere. Consistency will keep you there." And then it was something else like tenacity or something that would like take you above and beyond or something. But the idea is that you essentially just have to be persistent and consistent for sure.
So I got a question before we end because we're about to end. Katie, so Katie, y'all talking about Geronimo?
Geronimo Speaks.
Yeah.
He was touring with like WAN now and all this kind of stuff. I see him like constantly. Like I'm in Atlanta, I'm in North Carolina, I'm in Florida. It's like shit, on all these shows and all these tours, and I'm so proud of him. Like
that's out to Geronimo Speaks. Shouts out to Chicago.
Geronimo Speaks.
Chicago poets.
I'm going to send this to him.
Out there.
Yeah, Chicago turns. There's a lot of different groups, and Faith can, understand this because I met her at a very kind of academic poetry reading, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, so there's very different types. There's like several disparate groups in Chicago of spoken word, right? And we've been trying to kind of bring everybody together. It's hard, but it is a city of a lot of words and a lot of art, a lot of stories.
Yeah, there's a lot of poetry cliques, is what I call them. It's like that same group of people that show up to each other's shows and hype each other up and things like that. But once you get in, you in. And so there's definitely a lot of poetry cliques in Chicago. So yeah, for sure.
All right, mister, let's get us off.
All right, man. Appreciate everybody locking in with Art for Change. We had the Chicago gang in the house. Be tuned to, don't forget to like, subscribe. We go live on Mondays, on Thursdays, on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern time and sometime in between. This is why you got to hit that bell so you know when to be here, baby, because Art for Change is the place, baby. And we are always having smart people, intelligent people, and some of the most creative people on the planet right here on this live show. I don't know nobody that does a live podcast like Art for Change, baby. Peace and love, gang. Until next time. Yeah.
Let's get it.
Love y'all.
Yes. Thanks for having us. That was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Man, thank y'all for being here.